And in yet another case, which has gone in favor of the consumer, this is with regards to cab aggregator Ola. In fact, Ola Uber rides have become an integral part of our lives. But have you ever traveled in a hired cab without a functional AC, despite having paid, or rather chosen, for that price? What would you do if you had to travel in a premium taxi and have such an experience? Yes, a Bengaluru-based businessman who hired an Ola taxi for 8 hours did not have a functional AC, and the dysfunctional AC prompted him to file a lawsuit against the app-based aggregator, now CEO Bhavish Aggarwal, and ANI Technologies, under which Ola operates. The complainant Vikas hired an Ola cab for an 80-kilometer journey in October 2022 under the assumption that it would be an AC car. However, the AC was dysfunctional for the entire journey, and he was forced to pay a fare of 1,837 rupees, which included the air conditioning costs. Meanwhile, the Consumer Forum, hearing this case, ordered the Ola chief to refund the trip fare and pay a compensation of 15,000 rupees, saying that Ola is duty-bound to provide all services to customers as promised, noting that it is to be blamed for the deficiency in service and unfair trade practice, and that the consumer is entitled for relief. So Neha is with us on this story as well. I'm going to go across. Okay, I'm told Neha is not connected with us right now, but the important part here is that here again, the Consumer Forum has weighed in favor of the customer, and now what we are getting to know is that 15,000 rupees will have to be paid by Ola Cab for this faulty service, or rather unavailability of a service that was paid for in a premium cab that was hired by a customer in Bengaluru. It's a big win for consumer rights. The Consumer Court comes to the rescue and imposes a hefty fine on Ola, because the fact of the matter is that it is not just the return of fare, it is also the money, the compensation for the mental agony, for the harassment and the litigation fees as well, from what I understand. But Neha will be able to tell us more about this. Neha, 15,000 fine on Ola again. This is a decision that was taken in favor of the consumer. And here, interestingly, the whole factor about how a person had to run from pillar to post, litigation fees, the mental agony, the harassment, all of that is being accounted for by the Consumer Court.
Well, Afrida, to answer your question, at this point in time, it seems like, there are several instances when either you or me or any of our viewers, for that matter, have had a not so, polite experience with their cab drivers, and more so, when it comes to turning on the AC. And this time around, too, here you have a passenger who's decided to take that fight legal over there and ensure that, he be compensated for the dysfunctionality of the AC in the cab. Now, this, of course, makes us question as to what action Ola would have on its own, taken, or the other aggregators for that matter would have taken on their own had they not been dragged to court. Now, the bigger question, of course, while in this case you have the passenger there, who's been fortunate enough to be compensated by the direction of the court, it really, of course, makes one question as to the kind of training that the taxi-based aggregators actually give their drivers and, their driver partners as well.
If you can remind our viewers here that this is not just about one case where a person was charged for AC, but the AC was not functioning. It happens a lot. The other issues as well, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, there are a whole lot of an avalanche of complaints against Ola Uber to the Consumer Court, and I have the figures in front of me. 2,500 complaints when it comes to Ola, 770 complaints with the Central Consumer Protection Authority when it comes to Uber, 770 complaints. So deficiency in services, failure to return the charging cancellation charges, overcharging. There is also something called surge pricing, which is like exploiting a situation when suppose in Mumbai it happens a lot, where there's a lot of during the monsoon, especially when there's a traffic congestion, suddenly the prices shoot up to thrice or 4 times or even 5 times the regular fare. So quite clearly, here is a case that sets the rules that you cannot be exploiting the situation. The laws are in favor of the consumer.
Well, that's absolutely right, Afrida. There are a host of reasons owing to which, customers or passengers for that matter might have had an unpleasant experience. You've listed out a few of them already. But the bigger question right now about what corrective action or what corrective measures are being taken by the taxi aggregators. Just to put this in context, we did try reaching out to the taxi aggregators itself who refused to comment on this, who declined to comment on this, citing it as a very small matter. This of course brings us back to the larger question of why people are having to pay for services and not be delivered the services in their entirety.
Yes, absolutely. The cab aggregators are the ones rather who have to take note of this, that there will be one conscious citizen, one informed person who will go and complain, and they may have to pay for it in a large sum, like it happened in this case, 15,000 rupees fine for that incident where the AC was not working and the customer was charged the fares for it. Thanks, Neha, for joining us with your inputs on the story. Professor Sri Ram Khanna, Managing Editor of Consumer Voice magazine, is with us here on the program. Very good evening, Mr. Khanna. Thanks for joining us. May I begin by asking you here that, like I said, there are so many complaints against the cab aggregators, but we haven't seen action of this nature being taken promptly. Do you see this going a long way in ensuring that cab aggregators take corrective measures?
You must understand one thing, that when a consumer gets the short end of the stick and he is exploited or cheated or shortchanged, unless he protests or she protests, nothing is going to happen. And it's not that you just go to someone and say, I've been wronged and they will correct it. It's not. It's not easy. It takes time and it takes money. And those who object will have to carry their objection and their complaint to a logical conclusion. For example, this case that you are mentioning, is it a case coming from a consumer court, or who ordered that the payment should be made
a consumer court in Bengaluru.
Can you please
a consumer court, sir.
Okay. Let me now just ask you, do you have any idea as to how much time elapsed between this incident happening and the order for the payment of 15,000 rupees
incident
compensation?
happened in 18th of October 2021. So you're right, it's been a long drawn battle.
Okay. So you're actually talking about 21 to 22, say 1.5 years.
Yes.
Assuming that there is a hearing every 2 months, you have at least 9 hearings to go to. And after 9 hearings, you will get an order. If you add the time taken by the consumer to go to each hearing,
yes,
and I will estimate it at about 300 rupees travel charges and about 500 rupees for time. If somebody is working in a job and takes leave and loses pay, it's almost 800-900 rupees for a hearing. Assuming 1,000 rupees per hearing and 9 hearings, the guy would have spent at least 9,000 rupees.
yes.
If he was arguing himself, if he had engaged a lawyer, then he would have had to pay 5 to 7, 10,000 rupees. So while you are getting 15,000 rupees, don't let anybody imagine that you can get this money without fighting. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes hearings.
Yes.
And if you have got your arguments and facts correct,
Mr. Khanna, I'm
get
just bringing in a viewer who's joining us who wants to put in a word here. Anand from J&K. Good evening, Mr. Anand. Share with us your experience. What do you have to say about how the cab aggregators have been conducting themselves in this country?
The worst part is these cab aggregators, nothing goes checked, or there's no check on them. Like, for example, I would like to just share that one incident happened when I booked a cab for my mother early in the morning at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
And just at about 4:45, she gets the message that it has been cancelled. So it's not just about the fares, it's about their unruly behavior. There seems to be everything going berserk in their way of functioning. There is nothing checked, there's no check. It's like there's no regulatory body keeping a check on their functioning. Fares part of it, their functionality, as well as the kind of standard or the quality of performance. Everything is totally in a very bad state of affair. Ola and Uber, both together.
Yes, I mean, and that is a sentiment that a lot will relate to. Yes, I have in the studio Professor Sri Ram Khanna, who is also giving us an understanding. Professor Khanna, you made a very important point that look at this long-drawn battle that this consumer had to fight. And end of it, he's got 15,000 compensation, which by the calculation that you gave us is now sounding very small.
Also, I'd like to ask the gentleman who just talked about his experience in J&K. Is there, did he order this cab in J&K or outside J&K?
Is Mr. Anand with us on the phone line? Okay. Mr. Anand, did you pay for this? Okay, from Bangalore? Okay. Did you pay for this cab? Mr. Anand, did you pay for this cab which cancelled later?
Unfortunately, I could not avail his services because at the nth moment or at the crucial moment, he cancelled it out. And there is no waylay or there's no reason. There's no check on it.
Okay, he's saying that, yeah.
What he's saying is correct. And what he's saying is correct. You have to be careful. Why are you going for Uber and Ola? Because the normal taxi wala in your city is charging 2 to 3 times what Uber and Ola cabs are charging. That is one.
Okay.
So you're taking a risk. And I've been in the same situation. I have a 5 o'clock morning flight in Delhi. I order for a cab and at 3:30 a.m. in the morning, he says it's cancelled. What do I do at the last minute? So what I do normally is I book 2 or 3 cabs. At least one of them will come. But I must also add here that you have to take the risk. If you want to save money, you have to be smart. And I must also tell you that in J&K, there is no Uber and there is no Ola. You know why it's not there? Because there are cartels of taxi drivers all over Jammu and Kashmir, and who charge 4 times more than the price I pay in Delhi. And there is nobody to complain and nobody to listen to the complaint. So if my friend who is in Bangalore has made this complaint in J&K, he is going to get thrashed by the taxi drivers. Not only nothing will be done, but the taxi drivers have unions. They will come and beat him up if they complain to the transport department. And the transport department in these cities is in league and in cahoots with the taxi drivers.
Sunil from Bengaluru also joining the program. Yes, Mr. Sunil, go ahead.
Yeah, I have also experienced this kind of treatment. Like when you board the cab on the way to airport or when you're coming from the airport to the city, by default, they do not turn on the air conditioner.
Okay.
And then we have to make sure that we have to insist that, oh, please turn on the AC because it's too hot. But it's not on their own. We have to explicitly, categorically, we have to tell them that please turn on the air conditioner. Even in this city short rides, right? Like while from going to office or on the way back to home, they don't turn on the air conditioner.
Yes, this is a problem. This is something from my personal experience as well. I've seen, Professor Khanna, that, you always have to ask them, almost plead, as if it's a personal favor you're asking for, that please put on the air conditioner. Whereas when you're booking for an AC cab. So, it is up to the customer's prerogative.
Yeah.
If they do not want the AC, to switch off the AC. But why would you switch it off and then only put it on if it comes at a request?
I agree with you, but let me also tell you, India has more than 30 languages, but there is one language common in every part of the country, and that is the language of money. This poor taxi driver, the cab is not owned by Uber or Ola. It's owned by somebody else. He is a driver on hire, and he is trying to save 50 rupees because that is what money he will save by switching off the AC.
Another caller I have, Major Vinod Kumar, Professor Khanna.
You are not fighting against Ambani or Adani.
Right. Major Vinod Kumar, yes, go ahead. Okay, I am told Vinod Kumar is not with us. Jagdish from Mumbai. Go ahead, Jagdish.
Hi, good evening.
Yes, go ahead.
This Ola is a big issue. Now, day before yesterday, I booked a cab, Prime Sedan, to go to the airport, and they send me a regular Mini. Now, I asked them, what is this? He said, sir, this is what we have at 4 in the morning. They charge me for a Prime and they send a Mini, and there is no way you can speak to them or lodge a complaint, nothing. Whatever options they have on the support system, there is no option for this category. And this is invariably, it happens to me. I don't know why, and nobody bothers to care also to attend the customer.
Yeah, but there is an option to complain, about your trips. I don't know how
Yes,
much of that
yes.
is attended to. I have made those complaints a number of times when such a thing happens, what Jagdish just told me. Thanks for that, Jagdish. Nirja from Delhi also with us. Yes, Nirja.
Yes. I just wanted to say that I went in a cab once, and they have different types of cabs. Like they have a lower category and, different categories for different fares. I ordered one which was for the middle category. So I got a response saying that so-and-so is your driver and this is your fare. That fellow cancelled the thing himself, and then again, when I put in, it came for the higher fare out of those three fares. So anyway, I was in a hurry that time, so I couldn't say anything or do anything. And the car I sat in was so dirty, so dirty. You could not imagine how dirty it was. And I'm really upset with these people because they have no manners. They don't treat anyone properly. He says, if you want to go, otherwise I'll cancel it. And what happens is when they cancel it, you have to pay the cancellation charge. And they ask for that charge before you book the next flight. The next car. This is it at the moment. I can send you the details, otherwise, of which day it was and what. I'll have to open my Uber account.
Right.
But that's about it.
Yes, we will do more programs on this, and we will have your number noted, and we will try and address it, because this is important, and this is what channels like us do. We address the people's concern, day-to-day concerns, which they have to go through, and nobody is bothered to address these issues. There is a huge dependence on Ola, Uber cabs in this country, and you cannot take your service operating method for granted. You cannot take passengers for a ride. That's what we are saying here on the program as well. Anurag from Hyderabad. Yes, Anurag.
Very good evening.
Good evening.
I just wanted to come to a point, because it is now we are fed up of Competition Commission of India, or there is no mechanism in place where we can lodge any complaint, or you can even take a call of even the phone calls also, whether or not you write it to try or do anything. Government always take a deaf and dumb towards any services for a citizen of India. I feel every citizen has to come forward, and channel like you have to take it further to help our citizens out. And we are thankful that you have come out with a program, at least for us to showcase our concerns out here. Because whatever you are doing, it is Ola and Uber, they have a auto, they have services, but at the same time, I feel the people of India also deserves, because most of the drivers don't want to take money from the wallet. They want us to pay them cash, so that the Ola or Uber, that 25% what they charge. Any companies who are there right now, I feel they deserve the right to take at least 15%, so that everyone, their expenses are also met. Most of the drivers, what they do is they take cash and they don't take wallet cash at all. So
Yes,
that's how I think there is a vicious cycle which is happening here. There should be a concern to address the vicious cycle.
And yes, that's why we wanted citizen voices like yours. Anurag, thanks for joining the program. Manohar from Delhi is with us. Yes, Manohar, go ahead, please. I'm not able to hear the voice there. Can I go back to Professor Khanna for a bit, and then we'll take more callers? Yes, Professor Khanna, you heard those voices, and that was the whole idea of this program, that let the citizens speak. And you saw how many concerns people have. And it seems that no one is bothered to address these concerns. They have put, for the namesake, a method is there. You put your complaint about your trips in the app, and they will send you a polite response. But then it goes on. There is no way to check these unfair practices.
See, the only way, madam, the only way to check this is to have a collective voice of consumers. If you have a consumer association in your city, or if your resident association letterhead can be used to write a complaint to the transport department or the Ministry of Consumer Affairs to highlight the problem and ask for corrective action. Unless you make noise, nobody is going to listen to you. Of course, so many people will complain, sitting in their drawing rooms, talking to their friends and family, making a call to a television program, but nobody is going to put pen to paper and give all the details and send a registered letter asking for a reply. Why did you not do this? And I must say that unless people who feel aggrieved, they take action, they complain, nothing will happen. And by complaining, I mean you registered the complaint. And for example, I can tell you, some gentleman was saying cancellation charges they are collecting before the next trip. Yes, they are collecting. But I have my experience with Uber. Whenever there is an unfair cancellation charge because of the driver, I lodge a complaint. And I must tell you, each time I have lodged a complaint, they have automatically refunded me the cancellation charge, which they have deducted from me.
That amount,
so if you persist,
perhaps they will refund.
In the case of Uber,
but the larger concerns of, what inconvenience it causes. It's not about just that 50 rupees of cancellation. You heard the gentleman who said my mother had to catch a flight at 5 a.m.
Yes, but
in
madam,
the morning.
please remember,
you can't be cancelling the
Uber
cab at 3 a.m.
Uber or Ola
and,
are
expect
platforms.
a person to get an alternative. Somebody is going to miss a
Yes.
flight. Vandana
But
from
this is
Pune is
at
with
the
us.
consumer,
Yes, hold on,
madam,
Professor
the
Khanna.
consumer has to be
Vandana from
prepared.
Pune, please. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Can I speak in Hindi?
Yes, go ahead. It's your choice. You can go ahead.
I have booked Ola somewhere in May last year, and that person dropped us around somewhere in between. बीच में ही छोड़ दिया, बोला कि उसको पुलिस ने पकड़ लिया क्योंकि उसके पास वैलिड लाइसेंस नहीं था, उसका लाइसेंस लैप्स हो गया था। तो उसने हम लोग को बीच में ही छोड़ दिया और बोल दिया कि आप दूसरा कुछ ले लो और अब तक जितना हो गया उसका पैसा दे दो। तो हम लोग ने बोला कि ऐसा कैसे जो छोड़ सकता है, तेरे पास लाइसेंस नहीं तो गाड़ी क्यों चला रहा है? तो उसने बोला कि नहीं आप पैसे दे दो और निकल पड़ो। तो उसने हमसे पैसे ले लिए, फिर जाके पुलिस से बात की, पुलिस को बोला तो पुलिस बोल रही कि हमारा कुछ लेना देना है नहीं, आप दोनों देख लो जो भी करना है। तो दैट टाइम माय हस्बैंड हैज अ ब्रोकन लेग, ही हैड अ प्लास्टर and we have to get down from the taxi and then we have to get a rickshaw and then we go to the hospital. ये ओला का एक्सपीरियंस मुझे आ गया है. It is horrible.
It is, very painful to go through something like what you just shared with us, Vandana ji. Shukriya. Thank you for joining us. Captain Sher Amir, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, from Chandigarh. Yes, Captain Amir, go ahead.
Yeah, madam. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a disabled army officer.
Okay.
I generally use these services. And I booked in the premium category.
Right.
Hello.
Yes.
I generally book in the premium category, but I'm always provided with a lower category car. And the person says, chalna to chalo, nahi to jao. And for the same destination, every day, the prices vary between 300 and 700 rupees.
Right, that's a problem which we've heard before. It happens very often. Again, this is something we must flag off. If you are booking for a premium cab, you cannot send me a regular mini and expect me to take the ride and then the driver's behavior. Okay, I have Anand from Bengaluru who got disconnected earlier. Yes, Anand, go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, Anand, please go ahead. Please continue. You were disconnected earlier.
Hello.
I think Anand is not able to hear me. Can you fix that? And I'll just go to Professor Khanna for one last time here and ask Professor Khanna about this aspect. The fact is the drivers, firstly, most of them seem to be completely untrained. They don't know the ABC of customer service. You heard the lady say we were asked to just get off, and then she realizes the driver does not even have a license. So it seems that these cab aggregators are employing just about anyone in this business.
Actually, madam, you are right. The cabs are owned by different people. The drivers are hired people. The aggregator is different. They are giving you a service based on what is available in your market. They are not they don't own the cars, they don't employ the drivers. So each one is a freelancer. So you are having a platform of aggregators who are putting freelancers in touch with you. So you are actually, getting what is available in your city. So don't expect 5-star service from these aggregators, because that is the nature of their business. But let me tell you, all said and done, I used to have a car and I sold that car some time back, and I have been depending on these aggregators for the last 2 or 3 years. And let me tell you, these odd problems aside, I think they have provided a valuable service to urban commuters in cities like Delhi, where I live. These problems are there. Not arriving on time at 5 o'clock in the morning when you have a flight. So I must be smart enough to have a backup plan ready. I may not get the sedan, I may get a Wagoner.
They are exploiting
but I must
the
be prepared,
situation,
because
knowing that
this is
a
what I
person
bargained
like
for.
you, and there would be many others,
You must be smart.
Are depending on cabs more and more. It seems that it's a demand-supply equation. It seems because there is such a large demand, now they are taking things for granted. Initially, when they came in,
the gentleman who
there were
just
very
said,
high standards. The standards have fallen over time.
Yes.
Mr. Venkat Raman from Delhi is with us on the phone line.
You are right.
Right.
You are
I'll
right.
just come back to you, Professor Khanna.
Let me also
Venkat
say
Raman, please go ahead.
that if you expect...
Venkat Ramanji, bataiye, what has been your experience with Ola, Uber? Is there anything that you would like to share with us in terms of an unfair practice that you came across?
Yeah, all these cabs come under the e-commerce rules. And as per the e-commerce rules, they are supposed to be displaying the contact numbers where the consumers can contact or make a complaint. In the case of Ola, they have a helpline, and you have to send the message to the helpline, and they invariably send a reply, and then that the complaint is resolved. Without having the response from the customer that it has been resolved, they themselves resolve, saying that it is closed. So this is causing a lot of problems, and they are not following the consumer protection rules at all. They are not displaying the contact numbers either in their app or in the website at all. This is totally unfair for the customers, and any type of complaint, the customers are left with nothing.
Right. I have another caller. Venkat Raman, thank you so much for sharing your concern. Anjushri from Hyderabad. Go ahead, Anjushri.
Hi. See, I daily book the cab, and daily I commute through Ola or Uber. And what happens is, like, when I book on Ola, what they do is, like, they will ask me to cancel. They'll come to the location and they'll ask me to cancel. And then they say that you can pay me the same fare. Whatever, Ola charges you, please pay me the same fare. And I'm sure, because of various security reasons, I have to, kind of cancel. Or else, they'll come to the location and they'll say, please cancel. Because they will ask to pay through the money. And if you say, no, we will pay through Ola money, they'll say, then please cancel. And they'll start fighting. And the second thing is they'll ask the location, where I have to be dropped to. Generally, I say that, अरे आपको आ जाता है, आपके मोबाइल पे आ जाता है, location सब कुछ आ जाता है. But still, they are tell me the location where you want to be dropped to. Which is actually, based on the security reasons, I would not be able to disclose the location where I'm supposed to be dropped to. And it is on a daily basis I face this problem. Especially with Ola, I daily face this problem.
It is. And about the drop location, there were some changes made. It seems now they can see the drop-off location. So the cancellations were supposed to reduce, but I don't know whether it is available in all cities or not. I have Captain Murli Krishna from Mumbai. Anjushri ji, thank you so much. Captain Murli Krishna, go ahead.
The previous caller has covered what I wanted to say.
Yes. Okay, so you also have a similar concern then about how drop-off locations are inquired. They always engage with the customer before showing up. They want so many clarifications before they turn up, and that is also a pain. It often happens that you're not comfortable disclosing all that information. The cab driver will call up the customer and inquire, where do you have to go? What is the fare showing up in your phone? And depending on that, they're not supposed to do this. And there are many who doesn't even know that they are not supposed to answer these queries. Once the trip is booked, the driver has to show up. He has no business to call the consumer to inquire about the drop-off location or the charges for that matter. I have another caller from Hyderabad. I'm not able to get the name. K.S. Rao from Hyderabad. Good evening, Mr. Rao. Go ahead, sir. Is K.S. Rao able to hear me? Okay, so we are getting a lot of voices today, and this was the precise idea of this program, to allow the citizens to speak, to get the voices out, the kind of harassment that passengers have been going through. And you heard voices from Delhi, Pune, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Bengaluru, even J&K. That just shows that this problem is endemic to the cab aggregators. They've been operating like this across cities, and the standards have fallen to the lowest of the low. Women passengers are harassed, last-minute cancellation, even causing a person to miss flights on certain occasions, especially when it's an airport drop-off. These are very big issues, and often it has been seen that complaints are not addressed. I have figures in front of me with the Central Consumer Protection Authority has slapped notices on cab aggregators for unfair practices, citing over 3,200 complaints that is registered with the National Consumer Helpline over the last 13 months. But we heard Professor Khanna also tell us that there has to be a collective effort. The individual complaints are not taking us anywhere. Anand from Bangalore is still with us. Yes, Mr. Anand, go ahead. I'm hoping this time we'll be able to hear you. Go ahead.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Yeah, basically for this Ola and all, whatever the online company, they used to provide the call centers. Call centers. Hello?
Yes.
Basically, call center, who knows the call center, who is sitting there or not, who will take care of your words and all this thing. Basic thing is, where all the call center, previously 10 years back, 20 years back, we do have a head office or everything in a big city. There are officers there for a residential complaint and all this thing. Now everything goes to the call center. Who know who is taking care of your complaint or not? Basic, everyone is not very much expert with all the phones. Means they need everything online. Nah? Hello?
Right, and people are not exactly acquainted with how to go about a complaint. So there has to be an awareness program created, and it has to be a collective effort now. That is what we are trying to do here. Put all the voices together. I hope somebody in the top management of the cab aggregators are listening to this, that the service that you're providing is substandard, people are not happy, and this cannot go on for very long. As a channel, we watch these issues very closely. We'll have to leave it at that for now. I thank all the callers, and I thank Professor Sri Ram Khanna for joining us with his expert views on the subject. Let's take a very short break. We'll come back with more.